Alright, this cut is a smooth high top fade. So I'm gonna grab a comb and loosen up the hair by combing through it. Grabbing a 1/8 guard. These are the magnetic guards, and I'm placing it on the Fade Masters. And this is the clipper that I'm doing the whole cut with. Opening the adjustment all the way up and going up to the spot where I showed with my comb. With the lever all the way open. And basically what I'm doing is just cleaning up and removing the bulk hair. That way I can see more clearly when I'm fading. I call this prepping the haircut. So I'm bringing it all the way around and connecting it to the other side. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, I'm just removing hair and making it easy for me when I'm fading. Here I got the lever all the way open. I'm closing it just a little bit. And I'm combing down the edges of the hairline. Closing it a bit more so I can take off a little bit more hair. And this is prepping for the hairline. This allows me to bring down the hair and make the hairline pop more. And this will allow you to really get a sharper lineup and also keep from going too far back in the hairline. But you do want to make sure to line up the actual hairline when you do edge up the hair after this process. So basically it's combing and trimming at the same time. Make sure not to overdo it. But once you get a feel for doing this type of stuff and this type of technique, you'll have it down and it'll be simple to do. As you can see, he has more of a round shaped hairline. So I'm going to respect that hairline and I'm going to give him more of a round shaped edge up. As you can see, I'm resting the back of my fingers on his forehead while I'm edging him up. That allows me to have more control over my clippers while I'm doing it. I'm giving him a slight forward slant, not too much and not too far down, but just the proper amount. And as you can see, I'm coming on top of the hair from the top. I'm not pushing up from the bottom, but I'm coming on top of it, and that's what really gives you a sharp hairline and keeps the hairline in place. Coming on top of the hair, as you can see. And I'm using the Andis T-outliners if you're not familiar with these, and they have the Rich Barber modified T-outliner blade on them. So make sure to get really detailed with your hairlines. Sometimes I line up and do the edge up like I'm doing now before I fade. Sometimes I do it after. But what this kind of allows you to do is actually see your fade coming into its completeness while you're fading. So it kind of gives you more of a finished look while you're fading and helps you kind of get more detailed with your fades and your cuts. But it's not mandatory. It's kind of more of a preference thing. And usually when I edge up before I do the cut and the fade, I might still go over the edge up and detail it up afterwards. as you can see, I'm going right at the hairline. And I'm coming on top of the hair and also using the corner of the trimmer. Give me a nice clean line. Make sure you go into the hairline. That way the hairline looks clean and the hair actually stays in place. If you don't go into the hairline, the hair's not going to stay in place and it's not going to look as clean. You have to go where the hair is actually growing out of. So I have the Fade Masters and I have the clipper closed all the way, and I'm going to start my fade at the bottom. Now with this cut, I'm giving it a shadow fade look at the bottom, and I'm just kind of cleaning up the bottom later on with my trimmers. But it gives it more of a shadow fade, bald fade type of look. So I'm gonna do that afterwards. But as right now, I'm just going with the trimmers all the way closed. And I'm gonna just start fading. Small adjustment, very slight adjustment. And I'm gonna take that fade, that guideline a bit higher. As you can see, I'm not pushing a lot of pressure on the skin of the head. I'm gliding smoothly. And that gives a cleaner cut afterwards because it doesn't cause deep patches in a way, because I'm not digging into the skin. I'm just smoothly cutting on top and making the proper adjustments when needed. Another small adjustment. And these small adjustments really pop and really show a nice clean transition fade as you complete the fade with the higher adjustments and the guards. But this is actually the more important part of the fade. This is what really makes fades pop. So at first you don't see much of a transition, but once you get the technique down and you know the proper adjustment to make, and you can see the fade coming into itself, you'll feel more comfortable and you'll really see more definition in your fade. So I made another small adjustment and I'm taking it a bit higher. I'm giving it kind of a dip shape in the back, making it kind of dip and come around. And the reason I'm doing that is that it's going to make the part that I'm going to throw in the hair, it's going to go with the part and it's going to look a lot cleaner. I made another small adjustment. I'm about a little over halfway through the adjustment guides, and I'm continuing to fade. I'm leaving as you can see over to the left, I'm leaving the hairline, the curve around the hairline just slightly darker to kind of make it pop, but it's not necessary. But on this cut I did it, and you can see the difference it makes later on. I'm just taking the fade up a bit more, and as you make the adjustments in the higher parts of the guides, you can make bigger strokes. As of right now, I have it all the way open, and I'm taking it up some more. The nice thing about this technique is that you can see your fade coming to life as you do it, and it's just blending one guideline into the next. Make sure you get the fade nice and clean before you make another adjustment and you go on to the next step. That way you don't have to backtrack and have that much cleanup work. This is a 1/16 guard. On the purple guards it says 0. All the way open. And now I'm going to start blending more downward in a reverse technique. And as you can see, as I fade, I continue to brush the hair. That way I can see the actual result of the strokes that I'm doing with the clipper. And as you can see, I'm taking it up about maybe a little less than an inch, or about an inch. I adjusted the lever about halfway, and now I go almost all the way up to my last guideline that I made with the lever all the way open, but just below it, and I continue to blend downward. Always brushing the hair so I can see the exact result of my strokes. Another adjustment to the lever, all the way closed. And now I'm going behind that last guideline. And this adjustment should basically bring the guideline with no adjustment on into the guideline with the 1/16 adjustment on. Now sometimes with the fade blade, it might not completely blend it. So all I'll do after that, after this step, is go back over it with no guard, but with the lever all the way open, just to clean it up and make sure that transition is nice and clean. As you can see, I tilt my clipper different ways when I'm fading certain areas. You want to try to go against the grain with the hair as much as possible. That's going to get the cleanest cut, and that's going to really give it, allow the clipper to do its best work and cut the side that you have it adjusted on. So as you can see right here, like I said, I'm going back over it with the lever open. I'm just kind of touching up certain areas and making sure that transition and that blend is nice and clean. The more cleanup work you can do before you move on to the next step, the better. Okay, so I threw back on the 1/16 guard, and all I'm basically doing is going through the blend steps of fully open, halfway open, and closed all the way. Once again, very quickly, just to clean up any dark spots and to make the blend cleaner. So now I have a 1/8 guard, lever all the way open, and I'm gonna continue to take the blend up higher from my last guideline. Make sure not to dip into the hair. As you can see, I'm going straight up. I'm not going up and then inside the bulk of the hair. I'm just going straight up and away. So bring that blend a little bit higher. Adjust it about halfway through, and I'm going just below that last blend. And as you do this, you'll just see the blend coming into itself and everything just blending together. Closed all the way, and I'm going slightly below the last adjustment. One-fourth guard, lever all the way up, same steps, going straight up and away, straight up and away, making sure not to go into the bulk of the hair at the top. Use the side of his head as the guideline and go straight up from that. Now I have the lever closed on the 1/4, and I'm blending. I'm connecting the blend into the bulk of the hair at the top. I have a 1/16 guard on, lever closed, and I'm touching this dark spot right here. Now detail is everything when it comes to hair cutting and barbering. The more detailed you can get, the more awareness that you have of the detail that you need and that you can give, the better the cuts come out. Here I have a 1/16 guard on, and I'm slowly blending out the sideburn. Took the guard off, have it all the way open, and then halfway, and more closed. And as I go up, I just bring the adjustment in more to blend that sideburn into the fade of the haircut. Make sure it's a nice clean blend, nice good transition. Same thing on the other side, lever closed all the way, and we're gonna start this fade off on this side. And all we're doing is fading it the same technique, the same way on the opposite side, and we just connect it through the back. Now connecting it through the back, you wanna make sure you go all the way over, past the center and all the way to the opposite side. That way the back blend connects to the other side nice and smooth. Small adjustment, and I'm taking it a little higher, removing the last guideline and bringing up a little bit more to create a new guideline. Going all the way over to the back. Another small adjustment. Remember to make sure you see the blend coming together. If you make an adjustment and it's too much and you start blending and you see a line still below the one that you're creating now, then go back and adjust the trimmer and continue to blend until you make sure there's no line. Small adjustment. Remove that line and create a new one by taking the fade up. All the way over. Another small adjustment. The tighter the blend could get when you have just a blade and you don't have no trimmer on, no guard on there, the better. Adjust it all the way open now. Take it up a bit more. These steps right here are the key components to a flawless fade. And once you realize that and you get this down, the rest is simple. Because once we throw the guards on, it just kind of blends that part into the bulk of the hair. So this is a 1/16, and I have the lever all the way adjusted open, and I'm bringing it up. Once you get this down, once you get that first portion of the fade down without the guard on there, and you master that, the rest is easy. And this technique works with any type of clipper, doesn't matter. So as you can see, I'm taking it up with the 1/16 guard. Make sure it's nice and smooth before I make the adjustment. Adjust the clipper halfway, and I'm blending slightly below my last guideline, and I'm just watching the fade come together. I'm not pushing too much on the scalp. I'm just letting the clipper do the work. Closed lever all the way. Now I'm blending the portion that I faded with the guard into the portion that I faded with no guard. And I'm I'm just watching it come together. Always making sure to go against the grain, what I mean by that is going against the direction that the hair naturally grows. And I'm combing the hair as I fade in the direction that it naturally grows. Lever all the way open, and now we're just making sure that transition is nice and clean, touching up any dark spots. Sometimes I might just use the edge of the clipper, sometimes I might use half of it or the whole thing depending on the area. As you can see right here, I'm using majority of the clipper blade to fade that area. And as you can see, I'm doing it nice and smooth. I'm not sticking into the scalp. You want to finesse the fade, you don't want to force it. When you finesse it, it looks smoother. When you force it and you don't make the proper adjustments, it looks a little patchy and it's not as clean and finesse looking. So I have the 1/8 guard on and I'm taking up the blend a little bit more, making sure to go straight up and not dip into the bulk of the hair at the top. Making sure to comb the hair back down after I cut through it. That way I can always see the exact results of the area I just cut. Another adjustment halfway. Going all the way to the other side, making sure the transition and blend is clean in the back. Closed all the way. As you can see, it's fairly simple. Once you get the technique down and you're aware of how the fade should look and you're aware of the details that a haircut requires, then you will see a huge improvement in the results of your haircuts. So now I have a comb, and what I'm doing with this is I'm trimming the edges of the top bulk of the hair. As you can see, I'm still not dipping in. I'm combing up, grabbing the hair and bringing it out away from the bulk, and then I'm cutting anything that sticks out. You can see the way I'm tilting the comb off of the head shape, making sure not to dip in the hair, but just kind of cutting off anything that sticks out. Now I'm putting back on the 1/4 guard. I have the lever all the way open, and I'm going directly up. And what I'm doing here is I just want to bring a nice smooth transition into the bulk of the hair and remove any lines or any dark spots that you may see. Making the proper adjustment. Got the lever closed. Closing it some more all the way. Put on the 1/8 guard. I'm just going to touch up that area that you see right there that I just pointed at. Got the lever all the way open. You always want to start with the lever open if you're unsure. That way you don't over remove hair in a certain area. So always start with it open and test the water before you jump all the way in. So now I'm just going and touching up any dark spots, any areas that I feel like need to be touched up. So I'm making a proper adjustment and hitting those areas. So So I see a nice clean blend. Comb in and then pull away. Pull away. See, I'm gradually taking some off. Lever all the way open, just like we did on the other side burn. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. Now I'm throwing on a 3/4 guard, and basically what I'm doing with this is just gonna go over the top and kind of clean it up, knock it down a little bit, remove some of the bulk. I'll go back later on and freehand it to get it really smooth, but right now we're just gonna trim it and knock it down to a length. Now you can run a guard. It's good to run a guard through the bulk of the hair at the top and just knock it down to a length that you want instead of freehanding it and knocking it down to this length, because I could always shape it up afterwards and really get it shaped up real nice. So to save time and extra work, just knock it down with a guard and then shape it up afterwards. As you can see right here, I have the lever all the way closed on the Fade Masters. Now this is going to give a nice shape up because the blade is really sharp at the edges. So fade blades are great for shaping afros and this type of hair and stuff like that. So whenever you are doing like an afro taper or any type of high tops, it's best to use a fade blade. So as you can see, I'm going straight up, not dipping in the bulk. We're going straight up and away, straight up and away. Straight up and away. One 1/8 guard. I'm just going to remove this dark line by making the proper adjustments. Now I can freehand the top and get it nice and clean. Here, as you can see, same technique, going straight up and away. And then once I get to the top, I go in and I start to give it the shape that I desire. As you can see, the back of my pinky and my ring finger, I kind of use that as a field guide to guide my hand. So I'm usually touching the hair or the scalp to give me more guidance. It's like having a pen and trying to write on a piece of paper without putting your palm on the actual paper. It's a little tough. You want to kind of have a feel and like a foundation. So I'm usually sliding the back of my hands or my fingers on the head so I could feel and control my clipper the way I desire. Make sure to always get really detailed with your haircuts. striving for perfection. That way it becomes a habit, and you naturally are someone who pays attention to detail and really notices the smallest, minute things. And those are the things that really actually make barbers stand out and make haircuts stand out. It's the things that the average person looks past and thinks doesn't have any type of effect. As you can see, I'm combing the hair where in the direction that it wants to go. Quick touch up on this corner of the hairline. Now when putting straight parts in someone's hair, I like to line them up towards the mirror and line up my trimmer blade straight before I actually put the line in. And I found it easier to do it by looking in the mirror and lining up the trimmer blade before you actually go and do it. It really helps a lot. So once you have it straight, just go ahead and put it in. And once you kind of get past the ear, I started to slightly dip the part. And you always want to come back and go the opposite direction. As you can see, I came back with the trimmer blade upside down, and that always gives a sharper line in the part. And you can hit it, this way, and then reverse the trimmer blade and go back like this right here, and that gives it a more defined look. So now what I'm doing is just cleaning up the bottom of the fade. I'm not going up into the fade where I started the first guideline. I made sure to stay below it. As you can see, my pointer finger is resting on the client's face or head while I'm edging. This gives me that control over my trimmer and allows me to really get real detailed with my lining and my edging up. Continuing to clean up the bottom of the fade, making sure I stay below my initial guideline. Right here, I'm just going over the hairline, making sure to get it real detailed and get any loose hairs that may be hanging out. Making sure to brush the hair so I see the actual results of the last area I cut and edged up. Again, as you can see, I'm just cleaning up the bottom, not going up into the original guideline, but staying below it. Now I'm gonna get his mustache lined up real nice. cleaning up all the unwanted hair. Going over the top one more time to get it exactly how I want it. Knocking off any loose hairs sticking out. Again, you can see the backside palm of my hand gliding against his hair and his head, depending on what part of the hair that I'm shaping. Just cleaning up the blend into the top bulk of the hair. Minor touch-ups. 1/16 guard, lever all the way open. We're just hitting all these little minor touch-ups real quick. Remember, we're striving for perfection and extreme detail. So now I'm gonna load up a single-edged blade into the Rich Barber Gold Push razor. And I'm gonna make sure I stretch the skin as I dry shave the hairline. Make sure to have your razor tilted at the correct angle. And make sure to always take your time and get the proper stretch on the skin. And as you can see, go straight up and down. Don't drag the razor. Sometimes when you drag the razor, it could cause small little cuts in the skin. So you want to go up and down, and then lift it and then move over to the next section. Dry shaving is cool when you're doing like the hairline and you're not doing much facial shaving. But when you do facial shaves, I do recommend using some form of shave gel. Stretch the scalp. Just touch up the part, get it nice and clean. The razor just makes everything pop even more, and there's no other way to get a super close shave other than using a razor or maybe a electric shaver. Last and final touch-ups. Take a little bit more off the top. I think that'll look better. Alright, and here goes the final cut. Smooth, high top fade. Just remember to always strive for perfection and detail. And remember that repetition is key. So the more you can see the type of haircuts you want to give, and the more you can visualize it and watch these videos over and over again, eventually it'll become a part of you and you'll do it naturally. I'm signing out. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, and I wish you the best and may you have much success. Chuka the Barber and the Rich Barber Company. Peace.